Hello, everybody. It's Adam with TPM Media. Today, we are coming to you with our weekly update. Today, we're a little bit somewhere different as opposed to where we normally do our updates. We are at the Ringside Cafe, the Rage Ringside Cafe, located on Soy Tapia 15, or Soy Norway, as some people call it, right next to the Rage Fight Academy. This just opened up in the last week, and it is now open every single day from about 9 o'clock a.m. till 6, where you can try some great coffees and very healthy food. And yes, that was a plug. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get into some of our big news stories this week. A couple things that we're going to cover so that you don't tune out is that number one, we're going to talk about a proposal to put graphic pictures like people dying from liver damage on alcohol bottles all across Thailand like they do with cigarettes. We're going to talk about the notorious Jomtien one-way road project, which has now begun as of this past weekend. Also, we're going to talk about some people who had a very minor fender bender. So minor you could barely see scratches, and it turned into over 6 people brawling in front of the Pattaya police station about liability. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Now, first up, this upcoming weekend with events, we have the Music Festival, the first weekend of the Pattaya Music Festival, taking place on Pattaya Beach. Now, this is a month-long event every single weekend. The first weekend will be 3 stages on Pattaya Beach with top artists from all around Thailand. The second weekend will be taking place on Jomtien Beach, and then the third weekend will move to Naklua, and then back to Pattaya Beach for the final weekend. Now, admission is free. There's all sorts of artists. It is mostly geared at domestic Thai tourists. You're going to see a lot of traffic in town. So through traffic during the event, especially this upcoming weekend, from 4 o'clock until 1 o'clock a.m., they are going to close traffic on part of Pattaya Beach Road. Now, be aware of this. Through traffic will want to avoid the area to avoid getting stuck. Also, now taking place in the area is Cobra Gold 2024. If you're out and about at the bars or the nightlife areas and you run into a couple dozen or more soldiers, that's because Cobra Gold is now taking place and will be taking place for the next 2 weeks. Now, this is not just taking place in Pattaya, but it's also taking place in and around Lopburi and around Chanthaburi and all of eastern Thailand. So if you want to check out what's going on, we'll continue to update you on Cobra Gold for the next 2 weeks. It's basically, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's a joint exercise primarily between the U.S. military and the Thai military, but also with about another dozen countries participating. Now, let's get right into our news. The first thing I'd like to talk about is Pattaya City has won for the 3rd year in a row the prestigious, according to them, Asia Festival and Night Festival Awards. This is basically for all of Asia and Asian countries rewarding the cities that put on the best events and the most events. As our readers and our expats know, Pattaya loves events. It seems we have them every weekend. Now, of course, many of our expats are not too excited about the events, but let's be real here. We're a tourist city. We are revolved around tourism. What they want is so whenever you come to Thailand, whatever weekend you may come, that something is happening. As we said, this month is a music festival, and next month, we've talked about it to death, so I'm just going to briefly mention it. Love it or hate it, is the Thailand Songkran Festival, the water festival. And they're saying it's going to be the biggest one ever. Well, let's see. Now, let's talk about the proposal to put graphic warning labels on alcohol bottles. This came up from the Alcoholic Beverage Committee in Thailand over the last week or so. And this came, there's kind of been a tit for tat back and forth just to give you a little bit of information. So recently we've been talking about a proposal to cancel the decades-long 2 to 5 alcohol sales ban. Some people were actually surprised there is a ban because, of course, a lot of small mom and pops and small bars and restaurants don't necessarily enforce this. But if you've ever gone to 7-Eleven or Tops in the afternoon or grocery stores or even big mall restaurant chains, you'll see that it is enforced pretty strictly at these corporate places. And since many Thai tourists go to these places, they were offended by it. Anyways, for now, they say they're going to study this further, and the Thai Alcoholic Beverage Committee won basically their little feud with the tourism associations who wanted to go ahead and allow this to take place. So now in return, the Thai Alcoholic Beverage Committee has proposed to put graphic warning labels on all alcoholic beverages in Thailand, not just the bottles, the cans. So while you're enjoying your wonderful can of cold beer on an afternoon, you could be looking at a car accident victim in graphic detail while you enjoy your beer. This is similar to cigarette packaging in Thailand, which already does this. And if you don't smoke, you might not be familiar with this because cigarette packaging, when you go into 7-Elevens and other places, are hidden. They're hidden behind the counter and hidden behind a big barrier so you can't even see it because it's seen as graphic. Now, whether or not this actually prevents people from smoking or prevents people from drinking is debatable. But what it will do is if this passes, you'll probably see less bottles and less stuff out in the open, which is exactly what this committee wants. Obviously, the Thai alcohol industry is firmly against this. They say this is a big X, and they already plan to fight this with everything they have. Meanwhile, the Thai health minister has said that this is just a proposal and that people need to stop panicking over it, as there's already been threats of lawsuits and other stuff just over the proposal. We'll keep you updated on this. Is it going to happen? Probably not. So, our next topic is the Jomtien one-way road. We went out earlier today, we're filming this over the weekend, and confirmed that the project has begun. By the time you view this, it will have taken place for a couple of days on Jomtien Beach. This is taking place from the Jomtien police box all the way to Soi Shayapru, and will take place, it's temporary, you're not going to like when I say this, but for 18 months is the estimated period that it will go one way. Now, to be fair, things were actually running pretty smoothly today. Police were doing a good job warning people about the one-way and moving people. But do we think police are going to be there every day for 18 months telling people which direction to go? Probably not. So there could be issues. We also saw many people are not aware of the one-way change. So we saw dozens of people standing on Pattaya Beach waiting for a bot bus that will never come to go towards Pattaya. Of course, the bot buses are still running the other direction as it's one way running south. Now, if you want to pick up a bot bus and you're on Jomtien Beach Road, you need to walk up to Jomtien Second Road, which is where they are all running at this time. Now, the feedback on this is pretty negative. There's a couple reasons why they're doing it. One of the big reasons, of course, is drainage changes. They're also doing this because on Jomtien Beach Road, they are installing brand new parking and brand new lighting up and down the beach in this area. So be aware of that and be aware that this is a long project. For our next story that we're going to talk about, so there was a very, very minor fender bender that took place earlier this week, and it's probably one of the most minor accidents we've ever seen here at the news. But it made the news because at the police station, even though, and we'll show you in the footage, you can barely see the scratch on the vehicle, both sides got into a huge confrontation over liability in the accident, or little accident. Literally, it was like a low-speed bump, and got into a massive brawl, and 6 people got arrested. Just shows that tensions can take off at any time. They were at the police station, both sides, because the police were trying to mediate, which is common in these situations, for who would pay for the damages. It wasn't exactly released what the problem was, but if we had to guess, the main issue was the fact that one side wanted the other side to pay a whole hell of a lot more than it was probably worth for these very small scratches, and that caused the brawl that you see. Last but not least that we have for today is we have a story from our sister paper. If you're not familiar, we'll put it up on screen, the Phuket Express, that went viral over the past weekend, in which a foreign expat living in Phuket allegedly kicked a Thai doctor in the head for sitting on his steps that go down to the beach. Since then, it's now been seen that his steps, according to Phuket authorities, were not his steps, but were actually encroaching on the beach, and that the Thai citizen that got kicked in the head allegedly was right that they were not his steps, and she was just sitting on the beach watching the moon when he approached with several vulgarities, according to footage that was released across the internet. He claims, however, that he did not kick her. He claims he slipped and accidentally hit her with his foot. We'll let you be the judge of what happened. It was pretty clear that he did approach her very aggressively with curse words. He has lawyered up over the situation and is evidently mediating with the other party. Guys, as always, we'd like to thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow for regular updates right here from Pattaya.